Hey, good afternoon, everybody in the DFS Army. This is your buddy Choppadong, your coach and contributor, coming at you with another video. This one's going to be more on contest selection. I haven't done one of these types of videos for a little while, and I want to kind of show you what happened last night, and let's talk through some principles because it was a single lineup. It's very easy to teach from this, and very easy, hopefully, to understand what I mean when I talk about layering your contests. If you're new and you don't know of the DFS Army, I encourage you to check us out, dfsarmy.com. You'll see a link in the video. I encourage you to go under the strategy tab, it probably is under the NFL strategy tab, and look for about the third, fourth, fifth article down. It's a multicolored triangle. It's called the ladder system, and it is an article that will explain to you what I mean when I'm saying layering contests. When I allocate my contest selection, yes, I pay attention to the specifics of the contest, but I also am building a foundation of safety towards the bottom of my pyramid and risk at the top of my pyramid. I want my lineup to first cross the barrier that unlocks head-to-heads, 50-50s, and whatnot, and then next I want to hit triple ups, 3-man leagues, 5-man leagues, 10-man leagues, whatever. Then I want to hit the quintuple ups and your 20-man leagues and even your 100-man leagues, and I want to get into the top, and I want to unlock the cash in the GPPs. That way, as my lineup grows, it unlocks more and more and more upside. It doesn't just flatten out at a 50-50 where if I take first I still only get $2 on my dollar. It actually starts to reward me by placing it in some other contests. But you need more at the base of your pyramid for that foundation, that solid foundation. You need more of those safe contests down there so that they cover when you cross that line, which you're going to cross first, the 50% mark. You're then going to unlock winnings that will pay for those other contests and put you sort of on house money. I want my head-to-heads and my 50-50s and my small leagues and things, I want those to pay for and fund my GPPs. That way I'm not really taking on additional risk by chasing a lottery ticket type of prize. And last night was a good night to show you how to do this. So let's first start by talking a little bit about head-to-heads and volume versus 50-50s and why the contests are a little bit different and what it takes to kind of win them. In your head-to-heads, if I just took on 3 guys, we'll look at their scores here. If I blow this up, I've got a 165, a 169, a 192. It's very possible that I score a 193 and win all of them. It's very possible I score a 191 and I lose this one but win these 2. It's very possible I put up a pretty good score at 164 and lose all 3. There's a lot of randomness in small sample sizes of head-to-heads. You can produce a great lineup and lose. You can produce a bad lineup and win, because you're only taking on a very, very small grouping of people. So the way people combat that is they take on a large volume of head-to-heads. And what they're going to do is they're going to smooth that variance out, because you're going to get the 165s, the 190s, the 120s, the 130s, and whatnot, and your lineup is going to fall into a channel which will indicate more of its true value. I talk all the time about beating certain percentages of the population that is playing tonight, and I'm talking about thousands of players. So if I want to beat 50% of the world, if I do beat 50% of the world, I should win more of my head-to-heads than I lose. If I beat 60%, 70%, 80% of the world, I call those top 50, top 40, top 30, top 20% lineups. I'm talking about where I rank. If I beat 80% of the world, I have produced a top 20% lineup that night. Okay, so that's a little bit of the terminology that you're going to hear as we walk through this video. So by taking on these head-to-heads, I need to take volume to smooth out that variance. The bonus to the head-to-heads is that I'm always going to get some money back. It's not very often if I take 10 head-to-heads that I'm going to lose all 10. I'm going to lose 8, 9, 7, 6, whatever. I may win, all but 2 or 3 of them. And that's going to give me anywhere between a complete crap out and doubling my money, minus the house's take. So if I take on 5 head-to-heads and I win all 5, I'm going to double my money. That really and truly, if I'm taking on 5 head-to-heads, I need to beat 5 guys. That means if I produce a top 20% lineup, or I beat 80% of the world, I should have a shot at beating all of those guys. On a small sample, I'm not going to. But if I took on, say, 1,000 head-to-heads, I would beat 80% of my head-to-heads, and I would have a smashing success of a night. What I don't like about head-to-heads is that still doesn't even double my money. Yeah, I'm always going to get something back. But for me to take on 1,000 head-to-heads and double my money, I have to sweep them all. And that's not very likely, because if I played a 1,000-person GPP, how often am I winning it? It takes that kind of a lineup to do that in these head-to-heads. Just as just a general common sense math approach, the larger the player pool I'm taking on, the higher my score needs to be to win it. I don't like only being rewarded with double my money if I win 1,000-person, 1,000 players in head-to-heads. I'm going to find a happy medium where I'm going to take on some volume that smooths out that variance, but I'm also going to keep it small enough that hopefully I don't need quite as strong a lineup to win them all. And that's just, again, a very vague concept, but it's an important one because it lays the base of your foundation to that pyramid, to that ladder structure that I was telling you about to go look at on dfsarmy.com. If you look down these head-to-heads right now, you're going to see I took on 10 of them. But what I want you to see is the next layer of this competition, which is the 50-50s. So when I click through that, we're going to get down to the 50-50 contest. Okay? The 50-50 contest, if you pick a 100-man 50-50 contest, you're going to, obviously, you beat 50 people, you win double your money. If you beat all 100 of them, you only win double your money. Okay, again, there's advantages and disadvantages to that. The advantage is that if I place 49th out of 100, bang, I double my money. I don't get back. If I beat 51% of my head-to-heads, and I run 100 head-to-heads and I win 51 of them, that's a top 49% lineup, just like it is everywhere else. But I only return like $1 on my $100. That's not good. I'd rather just dump it in a 50-50 and return $2 on my dollar when I cross over that 50% mark. Obviously, the detractor there is if you get 49th or 51st place and you only beat 49 guys, you lose it all. So it's an all or nothing proposition. So what I do to kind of pad any of the head-to-heads that I do is I'll take a few, like maybe a third as many. If I do 10 head-to-heads, I'll do, say, 2 or 3 50-50s. And that way, if I barely cross that line, I at least double those, and those pay off too. And those help buoy my ROI just a little bit to where I have a little bit better night than just getting back $1 on $100. Instead, I might get back, say, $3 on the $100. Any little bit helps when it comes to daily fantasy sports. And I apologize for kind of bouncing back and forth like a pinball here, but hopefully this will all start making sense to you soon. What I look at when I'm looking at my 50-50 competitions is how strong was my lineup that night. Was it a top 50% lineup, a top 40, top 30, top 20, top 10% lineup? This lineup right here placed 7th out of 100 players. It's roughly a top 7% lineup, give or take, because even 100 players is a fairly small sample size when you're talking about thousands of players in a given night. But that 7% mark means that I would have crossed the barriers in 50-50s, obviously, in triple ups, in quintuple ups, and maybe some leagues. What I like doing is starting to put upside into a volatile game like baseball. I do it in football too, but in a volatile game like baseball, I try to put upside into my competition. I build with a strong base of very, very safe cash games. And I add in some 50-50s, which are a little bit more all or nothing. But when you just barely cross the line, they really pay off. When you way cross the line, you should be in other stuff because you had a very strong lineup that night. This 7th place out of 100 tells me I should be in other things with this score. It did very well compared to everybody else that night. So, a top 7%, when I play in a 3-man league, it should win most of them. When I play in a 5-man league, it should win most of them. When I play in a 10-person league, it's a top 10% lineup. If I play 10 people, I only have to beat 9 people out of 10. I have to beat 90% of the people, which means I produce a top 10% lineup, and I should have a shot at winning it. I may run into the unlucky, son of a bitch that scores a 220 and just whoops my butt, and I get 2nd place. That's fine, but I should have a shot at winning that league. So that 7% tells me that. And if I look, it's almost a top 5%. A 20-man league is a 5% score. 1 divided by 20 is 5%. If I produce a top 5% score that beats 95% of the population, I should have a shot at winning that 20-man league, give or take a little bit of luck. So what you'll look at here, this same score got 7th in a 50-50. It did win the 10-man league like it should have, and it got a little lucky in that it won the 20-person league. But look at what this unlocks. It unlocks 10 times my money. So I put $1 in it, unlocked $10. This one unlocked almost $5. So we're going to get rewarded for the strength of our lineup because we're parlaying our strength into these leagues that unlock some upside as they go. Okay? And you can take this as high as you want to take it. Me personally, if you produce a top 1% lineup, you should beat a 100-person competition. If I was first or second in this 50-50, it would be telling me that I produced a top 1 or 2% lineup that night, and it means that I would have done pretty darn well in 100-man leagues or maybe even GPPs. But to get into the big money of GPPs, you need to do better than a top 1% lineup. You need to do better than a top half of 1% lineup, sometimes a top 10th of 1% lineup. And I'm telling you folks, the deeper you get into that, needing that kind of a lineup to pay you back, the more of a sucker's bet that tournament is. Yes, somebody's going to win it. It may as well be you. You can't win the lottery if you don't play the lottery. That's all bullshit. That's gambling. We're in this game for skill. We're in this game to win money, not throw $1 out there and hope to hit the freaking Powerball. If that's the case, go play the damn Powerball. Okay? And I'm not saying never play those tournaments. I'm saying layer your contests appropriately so you can. Then if that night hits, good on you. If the night doesn't hit, you still made money. A lot of people are only playing these huge GPPs and they're wondering why they constantly have to redeposit their money. I'm here to show you, and inside the DFS Army we talk a lot about this. I'm here to show you how to layer your contests appropriately and soften the damage of the variance of the losing nights so that when you do hit the winning nights, they pay. As you saw, they paid triple, almost quadruple what we did. And this is a cash lineup, okay? Now, let's jump ahead just a little bit and let's see what that... I would call this a top 7% lineup. Let's see how lucky it gets. We won the 10-man league. We won the 20-man league. We scroll down here. We did okay, top 8%, right? 4th out of 50, 7th out of 100, roughly the same. We won a 100-man league. We got lucky. We got lucky in that this was a soft winning score to take one of these down. But look at what it did. It paid 25 times the return. I mean, I'd have been happy with 7th place, 8th place, whatever. But this one got very lucky. And I was actually able to profit more than I should have last night. You go down to the triple up and a top, 5%, 7% lineup. Yeah, it's going to win the triple up. It's going to win the 3-man. It's going to win the quintuple up. But now this 170, 100 men, whatever, is a nice base for you to start to get an idea of how strong your lineup was. But these are the true numbers. Jump into these bigger contests, these 3, 4, 5,000 player contests. Take your rank 201 and divide it by 3448. 201 divided by 3448. That was a top 5.8% lineup last night. Top 6%. It makes sense, right? 7th out of 100, 4th out of 50. It's really standard. But what this tells me is where I would have been in bigger GPPs with this lineup too, because this is where I stopped. I didn't enter any bigger GPPs with this lineup right here, okay? So the way you're going to do that is you're going to divide this number into this number, get a percentage, and then what I want you to do is do a little bit of math, and I've got some videos on this. I've written some articles on it. Dive into a GPP someday. I don't care if it's 2,000 people or if it's 20,000 people. Go look at how many places pay out. The first thing you're going to find is the cash line, right? It's about 20%, especially on FanDuel. Sometimes it's 18%. Sometimes it's 21%. It varies, but it's roughly about 20%. Now, I want you to go to the next barrier, because we know that a 50% lineup doesn't do crap in a GPP. It takes 20% or better, a top 20% or better lineup to start paying and unlocking what? Double your money? It would have won a quintuple up, but instead is only double your money. Well, that's the price you pay for the big prize at the end, for hitting the lottery, right? No problem. If we've layered our contests appropriately, doesn't matter. We've already unlocked a shitload of cash as we go. We can, if we lose the GPP, whoa, whatever, right? We've already won a crap load everywhere else. If we only get double our money back or triple our money back, whatever, we just got 25 bucks on $1 back in this other thing, right? So we're happy. We're having a good night. Now, go to the top 10% mark. You found the cash line at 20%. Go to the top 10% mark. In this particular contest, it'd be, what, 344th? And you're going to find that's still only min cashing in GPPs. So I produce a top 10% lineup. Something that would have won $5, and instead it would have given me back, $4 on $2, or $2 on $1. Okay, so still min cashing. Let's go to the top 5% lineup. What's 3448? See, my math is getting a little bad. 3448 times 0.95. 3276. Damn it. 3448 times. See, you don't have to be super smart to do this stuff. 172nd. Was I inside that? I was. I was inside the 172nd. So it's a top 5% lineup, which we already know. But those are maybe going to get you 3 times your money back in a GPP. We get to the 1% lineup, okay? So move the decimal place over twice. We're at 34th, 35th spot. If you look in your GPPs, what you're going to find is that's generally going to return 7x, maybe 8x. Okay? So if I'm going to get back $7 on a 1% lineup, a 1% lineup, something that would have won a 100-man league, and I'm only going to get back $6 or $7, why wouldn't I rather have 25? See where I'm going with this? It's how you think about the contests you enter that's going to make you profitable or not. Now, yes, you get beyond that, top 34, top 30, top 25, top whatever. Yeah, you already won this thing and it's in the bag. That's why you enter some of these GPPs of this size, is because what if your lineup does even better than the top 1% here? You can continue to grow in the GPP where you've capped out here. Personally, I don't aim to build more than top 1% lineups very often. Therefore, I'm not ever expecting to win these. I will luck into them on occasion, but on rare occasion, but I'm not building and targeting for that very often. I did down here. I took a contrarian line because I saw something last night. Min cash 401st out of 2352. That's not bad. 401 divided by 2352. Top 17% lineup. Not great. Not bad. It didn't work out, but I was taking a shot at climbing up a leaderboard even further in case I had the rare combination. Most of the time I'm doing something similar to these, where I'm layering these contests, and when I hit the 100-mans, I stop. That's fine. 25x, move on. I've taken my money and put in, where am I here? Sorry guys, I've taken the $22 and got out $80. I mean, at this point, what do I care? So that kind of wraps up the idea of how to think about these contests that you enter, how to layer these contests. If you need help, jump into Slack. I'll help everybody allocate their contests. Tell me your daily budget. We'll put something together. That's kind of a lot of what I do as a bankroll managing coach or whatever inside the DFS Army. If you're not in the DFS Army, I want you to really contemplate. NFL's coming. I want you to really contemplate joining. We have a 7-day trial. If you enter code WIN, W-I-N, we have a lot of tools. We have a lot of coaches. We have a lot of people willing to help. This is a place that does make people better DFS players. I'm not even beginning to blow smoke up your ass with that one. It's just it's the God's honest truth. So take a look at joining us. If you want a 20% discount, you don't even need the trial. You just know you want to give it a shot for a month or two. Put in code CHOP, C-H-O-P, and that'll trigger 20% off lifetime membership. As long as you stay a member, your price never goes up beyond the 20% off of our current rate, whatever it is, $25 a month. So it's $20 a month. Jump in, give us a shout, let us know that you want to get better, and we'll help you do whatever we can. Now, before I wrap up the video, I want to give you a little bonus tip. If you stuck all the way down to the end here, we talk about ownership a lot inside the DFS Army. Inside DFS in general, people talk ownership. You got to find the low-owned guy. You got to find the low-owned stack. I'm going to call bullshit, okay? I'm the only guy out there you're ever going to hear say ownership is highly overrated. Highly overrated. This was a cash lineup last night. You saw what it did, $20 into 80, okay? That's a grind people are most likely happy with when it happens, okay? Now, yes, you want to be somewhat contrarian and win these bigger prizes sometimes. Think of something that has a chance to happen that nobody else does. But people worry about ownership, I think, because they worry about, what if I tie? What if somebody has my identical lineup? I have to differentiate somewhere. Ah, bullcrap. If this lineup was great, yes, it splits first prize with everybody, and that sucks. But you know what? It still made a crap load of money. What you're going to find, and I didn't click open these guys' specific lineups. You can see a 5-person train here, and another guy tied me at 198.6 on a full Friday night slate. 15 games, 14, 15 games. Full Friday night slate. And yes, I took a highly chalk line because I was trying to hit my head-to-heads, my double-ups, my triple-ups, and things first. And then if it went better than that, it went better than that. Okay? I would have already profited on the night. But, yes, I tied these guys. I took, my pitcher was Jose Quintana. These two guys took Alex Wood. We tied. Lineups were different. If things had transpired a little bit differently, we wouldn't have had a tie score. I had a unique lineup in this competition. This was what? This was the quintuple up, 3,500 people. I tied with 6 guys, but I still had 2 different lineups. I had a different lineup than they. All 3 of us had different lineups. Who gives a shit about ownership? Just build the best lineup you freaking can and just move on with your day. Don't sit there and worry about this guy that just got called up from the minors and maybe he works and nobody else will have him and I'll be the only guy. You know what you're going to be? You're going to be the only guy that got a freaking 0 in a lot of cases. That's what you're going to be. Yeah, if you get lucky and you hit a home run and another outfielder on somebody else's team hit a home run, you tied at 18.7. What'd that get you? What you need is to win these tournaments, you need the Scooter Gennett that hits 4 home runs in a night and you're the only guy that had him. Because Scooter Gennett doesn't hit 4 home runs very often. You got the Anthony Rendon when he has 100 points on the night. Those are the guys that are winning the GPPs. But honestly, it's overrated as a concept to build your lineup by. It's a nice tiebreaker. It's a nice way to maybe be a little bit different. But in cash games, you don't need to be different at all. And in tournaments, it's just overrated. You're still going to produce, I promise you, just by picking the best players you can think of. You're going to have a unique lineup. You're just gonna. Even if the scores tie, your lineup will be unique, which means if it was truly the nut lineup out there that night, it would have won anyway. Look at the next one here. This was that 2,500 person late night where I tried to be contrarian. I tried to be contrarian. I still tied with 6 guys. I poked through all of these and they all had different catchers than I did. A couple of different pitchers and different catchers. This was still a unique lineup. It just happened to tie these guys. So don't worry so much about tying the score of the guy next to you and getting completely different and getting completely unique. I promise you, if you track this like I do, you will tie scores sometimes, but you will never have the same lineup as the next guy unless it's a 2-game, 3-game, 4-game slate. Then you might. But if it's on a full 10-game slate, you're never going to have the same lineup as the guy next to you. You're just not. So take that ownership percentage and go shove it up the guru's asses because it's overrated, and just build the best lineup you can possibly build on any given night and let the chips fall where they may. All right, I'm Chop-A-Dong, DFS Army. Guys, peace out.